Tower Defense Simulator's latest event, the Lunar Overture event, is certainly something. On the one hand, the event is possibly one of the best concepts in TDS history. A prequel event that tells the origins of the Halloween events, specifically the Umbra and the solar eclipse. The event also introduces some pretty incredible skins and some decently unique and fun towers. However, the event itself, well, just like the uranium used in nuclear reactors, it's deteriorated over time. And the nuclear angle was appropriate, because this event bombs. At least, the third act did. From an unbalanced, impossible mess of a new and experimental game mode, quote-unquote, to a ridiculously easy and anticlimactic end to an event that was once praised as being the game's next big step into a new age. But that's enough about the gameplay. I'm sure you're tired of all the TDS YouTubers echoing the same opinion. No, today I want to talk about the lore and story of this event, and how the Tower Defense Simulator developers managed to completely screw up what should have been the most simple aspect of this event. Now, this is usually the part where I tell you to like and subscribe and all that stuff, which you should totally do. But first, I need to address two groups of people really quickly. First, the group of people who think it's okay to harass people just because. No one deserves to be harassed, and if you're doing it, then you're part of the problem. The second thing I need to address is the TDS meat writers that will inevitably worm their way into my comment section. The TDS developers deserve to hear any criticisms that their community levies against them, especially when they produced a rushed, bland, buggy, and lazy product. And especially when, allegedly, developers are even overworked to the point of hospitalization, and the Discord server is locked down to discourage any criticism. Alright, that's enough of the heavy stuff. Let's talk about how bad the lore and story was. Now, before you all come up with this BS opinion about, well, it's just a Roblox game, it doesn't need a good story, let me tell you that this was pretty much the selling point of this event, that it had a story. And yet, it completely butchered that. So, in order to make this more simple, let's break this down into 3 simple components, fitting for each act, shall we? Act 1. Act 1, when it actually works, is the best of the 3 acts, combining a unique gimmick with an interesting story and decent cutscenes and voice acting. The story here is simple, but at least it's conveyed to the player. There are 3 cutscenes, an intro before the level, a halfway cutscene, and an ending cutscene, all of which are decent of length and of decent quality, again, when they actually work. In this act, we are also introduced to the narrator, who is a quirky, neutral force in the universe so far, and the God Cube, a weird Fortnite-looking cube thing that comes from the Lord Exo, who is the presumed main antagonist of TDS. Overall, while certainly not perfect, it is a strong and enticing start. Act 2 has good gameplay, but like I said, I am not focusing on that. What did the lore of Act 2 bring to the table? Well, essentially, the entire second act is nothing but a fun fact. The story seemingly just jumps ahead an unknown amount of time, showing the Umbra as an already evil monster, sending monsters and the Jacobot to attack TDS back in the first Halloween event. This act has no intro or ending cutscenes, and the Umbra doesn't have a single line of dialogue. In fact, the narrator's remarks after the cutscene go on for longer than the cutscene itself. It's very jarring compared to the rest of the story-oriented and cinematic Act 1, but oh well. Surely Act 3 will be better, right? Act 3 is an abomination. It was an abomination when it came out, and it still is to some extent as it stands now. Imagine the Duck Hunt event, but dumbed down significantly or raised to a nearly impossible difficulty depending on when you played this thing. But once again, let's disregard the gameplay. How was the lore of this chapter? This is the finale after all, so I wonder what they were able to tie into that. There's nothing. Legitimately nothing. There is not even an attempt to try anything to build up to the previous story threads. Umbra is not even mentioned, and nothing special happens with Lord Exo, or even the God Cube for that matter. The narrator just makes an out-of-nowhere hero-face turn, and now is suddenly sending his actors to kill us. The funniest part is, you don't even get to fight the narrator himself, or even hear him speak for that matter. Instead, you fight the boss from the first act 3 times, as well as Master Hand and Crazy Hand from Super Smash Bros. And when they die, there's no second phase, there's no final cutscene or remark. The game just cuts to the victory screen where you receive the tower and just a chance, at receiving that glorious UGC. This is so peak, guys. You can really tell that they worked hard considering that they delayed this third act 5 times. So, what went wrong? Well, there's 2 big things that I think the TDS development team could really learn because they just completely blundered this. So let's get over them right now. In the ways Act 1 and Act 2 are concerned, their issue is that there is absolutely no connective storyline tissue between the end of Act 1 and the beginning of Act 2. In Act 1, Umbra is blessed with her godlike powers and manages to save her people and Penumbras. However, even by the end of the first act, Umbra still seems like a genuinely good person. She's in control of her powers, protects her people, and vows to use her powers for good. Flash forward to Act 2, and now she's suddenly completely transformed, sending armies of monsters to attack the world of TDS. There is so much missed opportunity here, like a chance to tie Lord Sinister into the lore in some way. Or, at the very least, just something that would explain why Umbra turned to the dark side. What made her construct the Totality Tower? Why is she trying to bring out an Eternal Night in the Solar Eclipse event? Nothing is explained or even explored, and it's extremely frustrating. Now, what's point number 2, you ask? And how does it relate to Act 3? Well, I have a sneaking suspicion that Act 3 was completely rushed and made during those 5 delays. Yes, it is my game theory that Act 3 was made in a week's time or less. And being completely honest, it shows. They have made so many bold claims and promises about it, like implying that the chapter would have a bad ending on Twitter, among other things. They didn't even listen to their QA testers when they told them that the event was nigh impossible, and they spent way too much time trying to make something that should have honestly have been done a long time ago. The story was likely completely neglected, which explains a lot. This act didn't even get the luxury of a single cutscene, despite being the grand finale. It was all around just a massive disappointment, from every single angle that you look at it, except for the Tower Reward, I guess. You'd think the TDS dev team would be more prepared, considering that they announced this event's existence literally 2 whole months in advance. But no, despite being a studio that makes hundreds of thousands of Robux every week, and a studio of multiple people, they still couldn't afford basic quality control or even tell a decent story. And that, my friends, is the saddest thing of all about this event. If TDS wants to improve itself going forward, it needs to stop delaying and rushing things. Announce stuff when it's only 100% complete, and not when you only have half of it done. Stop putting so much effort into gambling skin crates and pour it into actual gameplay. And when you're going to commit to a story mode as the selling point of the event, maybe, I don't know, actually deliver a story rather than a vague origin story, a fun fact, and a nothing burger. Maybe next time things will be different, but I don't really have much confidence. But anyways, that's gonna be all for now. What do you think of my points? Do you agree? Am I being too harsh? Let me know in the comments. Also, be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.
Cryo Gunner, look at them!